Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review for Halloween month. And one of you guys, if you hear that, that's my fan going because I have it on because it's hot as shit today. And I'll let me mention, I'm drinking my fourth refill of water here because it's like 100 degrees today. So, and it's hot. It's just hot as hell today. But nonetheless, though, and now I'm back. Now I'm gonna and close to ending this month, so I'm gonna be ending on some good films today, and the next review. So yeah, so no more rants. So thank God, you know. Revealing reviewing one of the films that I enjoy this year. And at first I was skeptical because I was really another slash film, but on a holiday, but actually it was a nice surprise, you know. So, and I thought this was gonna be the best horror film I've seen this year up until the next one, which is gonna be after this, which I think that can turn out to be the best horror film for me this year. So, but anyway, but I was surprised by this film, and it was nice. And it came out earlier this year, and that is the 2025 slasher film, Hard Eyes, which I have mentioned before that I did like this film. So, but yeah, Hard Eyes. It came out. I think it came out like the week before Valentine's Day. So, yeah, I could have reviewed this for Valentine's Day, but it's horror month, so you can watch this review on Valentine's Day if you want to keep in the the whole Valentine's Day concept. But I'll just review it because it's Halloween month. So, but Hard Eyes, like I said, I mentioned this before with a couple of other films I like this year because this year has been crap, you know. But it was one of those films, and like one of several ones I mentioned that I have reviewed. I like Novocaine, I like Companion, that Looney Tunes movie they did the day the Earth blew up, and I think there was a couple of other ones too, though. But yeah, there were some other ones. I said, can't think of the top of my head right now. So, which I have reviewed though. But sometimes my mind just goes blank. But I can just remember the ones I know immediately. But this is another one of them. Like I said, it's a slasher film. And at first, originally I first heard that I was skeptical. I was like, early it's gonna be another dumb slasher film, and Hard Eyes, which I do like. I do like the look of the mask with the glowing hard eyes. Right. I wish the killer could have used that a bit more in the movie. We do see ways he lights up, like kind of like use like a night vision. I do like but I wish he could have used like the light of eyes a bit more. But anyway, but after seeing it, I was surprised by because one of the things I do like is a lot of times slash films don't establish these things because it's a slash film, you don't care about the characters, right? That's one of the positives. I do care about the characters in this movie. So that's one of the positives I can say about this. I like the two leads in this movie, and the chemistry they have with each other. I do care about the characters. Yeah, usually in slash films you don't do it because it's supposed to be like a dumb slash film. You don't care about the characters, but not in this case here though. I thought the two leads, Olivia Holt, I thought she did a good job, and the guy who would be, not right away boyfriend, but soon to be though, and it's played by Mason Gooding, and Mason Gooding is the son of Cuba Gooding Jr. Which is because recently the sons of actors have been pretty good recently. I mean, I thought Mason Gooding, like I said, Mason Gooding, son of Cuba Gooding Jr., he did a good job in this. Recently, Jack Quaid, son of Dennis Quaid, he was good in the two films that I liked that came out this year, Companion and Novocaine. Louise Pullman, he was the son of Bill Pullman. He was the best. I didn't like Thunderbolts, but he was the best part in that film as the Sentry or slash the Void. But the Sentry though. So he was good in that movie. So, but yeah, although things I don't see in Mason Gooding, I don't see because usually like Louise Pullman and Jack White, I could definitely see they resemble their fathers, but Mason Gooding, I mean, I don't see that little bit of resemblance though, but not everyone, not not everyone's supposed to resemble their dads, but I was like, okay. I thought he did a good job. Other supporting characters, you have Devon Sawa from Idle Hands, The First Final Destination. He's in this as a detective, although he's a douchebag detective. And you got Jordana Brewster from the Fast and Furious franchise, and I remember mostly from The Faculty, and of course Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, which the shitty prequel. She's the other detective in this. And the director of this film, Josh Ruben, I'm not too familiar with. I don't recognize the film. I haven't seen not recognize. I haven't seen any of the films he did before this. He did a few films before this, but I have not seen those. But one of the writer and one of the writers and producers of this film is Christopher Landon or Christopher B. Landon. That's the guy who directed Happy Death Day 1 and 2 and Freaky. And also, yeah, another film that I did not mind, that I reviewed not that long ago, that was the film Drop. That's one of the ones I just couldn't think off the top of my head, yeah. When I mentioned the name, yeah. Yeah, Drop. That was a thriller film with the girl with the whole, kind of like in the vein of Searching. I liked Drop. But yeah, he did that film. But he was one, and he did that film too. And he produced, and he was one of the producers and the writers. So it was nice that he had a hand in this. And Michael Kennedy, who was also one of the writers as well, I think he's one who wrote right on Happy Death Day and Freaky as well, along with Christopher Landon. But yeah, so it was nice to see that he was part of the writers too. So, but overall, I like this film. Now the film came out, it didn't exactly do that well. I mean, it cost about 18 million. It made about 30 million in the U.S. and a little bit overseas. So worldwide, about 33 million. It wasn't that big of the hit because they wanted to. Because, well, thing is though, because it does become like the third act does have more of that Screamish-esque to it. Like Scream, I'm saying Scream. Honestly, I do. Like I said, this, I do like this better than Scream 4, 5, and 6. I definitely say that right now. Or any of the new Halloween movies, or what was the other slash film that I was ranting on? Oh yeah, that's right. I just reviewed this previously. Stupid. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Legacy sequel, the new one. Yeah, I definitely like the devil. That's definitely a hell lot better than I Know What You Did Last Summer. Definitely. Yeah, and I guarantee you this is gonna be definitely a lot better than the upcoming Scream 7. Definitely, I guarantee that right now. I'm tired of the Scream fights. That just a franchise that just overstate another franchise that overstayed its welcome. But yeah, they're doing a 7th one. But I can tell you, I like this better. This is arguably better than the upcoming 7th one. So yeah. But it did get critical praise from critics. It does have a solid 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it does have a 6.0 on IMDb, or was it 6.1? And definitely I would give it a little bit more higher rating. But and also some of the horror films this film got praise. I do like that one, but as for horror films that came out this year, I think are overrated. I do like this better. Definitely I like better than Sinners. But that film made a shit ton of money. I have and so much more praise in this film. I have no idea why. I did not like Sinners. I definitely think it's a very overrated movie. And the other one one I did previously, I definitely think this is a lot better than Weapons. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love that movie, or just like the movie. I think that film is overrated, and I just don't get I just don't. You can just check. I just did it previously as well. I just don't get it though. I didn't like Weapons. I thought it was boring, not scary to me. Not in my opinion, it's not scary, and the whole motivation for this witch for the witch is stupid. She was a dumb character, and just you can check out my review on Weapons. I mean, I like Josh Brolin. I thought the girl, Julie Gardner as the teacher, I did not mind her though, in that movie though, but. To me, Weapons was dumb. So yeah, if people, that film made a shit ton of money as well. I have no idea why. Listen, if that film, if those critically praised the state of horror films nowadays, I'm sorry. I'd rather stick to this though. This got praised though, but those got overly praised to me. So yeah, I don't. To me, those are overrated horror films of this year. Easily, I like this definitely like better than both those movies. But listen, if you like those, if you like Sinners or Weapons, feel free though. I respect people's opinions, but to me, those are overrated. I didn't like those films. But this, I think I thought was better. But anyway, getting to the story, right? I'm like 10 minutes in now. There's this killer. I think it was doing it for. It's going on for like 2 years. The killer named the Heck, aka the Heart Eyes Killer, killing people on Valentine's Day. And the opening where you have this couple where the guy's proposing, and you have this song by one thing I like was one of the song choices, by Lone Star called "Amazed." I don't know how you do what you do. I'm so in love with you. It just keeps getting better. Da-na, da-na, da-na. I want to spend the rest of my life. I like that song though, because I grew up with that song because my mom listened to it all the time back then, you know. So it was cool to hear that song of this movie. So that brought a smile to my face. But the killer comes in as the guy was taking the picture because he messed up the first time. He throws a machete through the camera and kills the guy, and then kills the couple. Now they're not overly. Now the kills are not overly graphic though. There is a couple of good kills though. There are some good bloody kills in this. So and a lot of that is done practical, which I do appreciate as well. But so the camera guy gets the machete through the heads of the camera, and then then they get the couple that gets killed. And then we get to our lead character. The girl's name. Olivia Holt's character's name. What's her name? Allie is her name. Allie. And she works at this. She's a designer for this jewelry company, and so she's doing this. Supposed to be doing this thing for this jewelry, right? And supposed to. Is because she has this thing about this sort of hateful thing about romance and love, right? Because she had a boyfriend that broke up with her, and so she's been very nitpicking about stuff on love and romance stuff. So she does this thing about this commercial, which I thought was kind of funny, about this jewelry about involving doomed couples, and so. And also, recently, the murders just recently happened, and she does this thing where blood comes out and it's like ribbons. I did like that. And although one gripe I will say, a nitpick I will say about this film, the character who plays her boss, I didn't like her though. I thought she was a bit over the top, you know. So if there was one of the characters I think that I did not like in this film, it was her. It was the girl the woman who plays her boss, Chris. The boss's name is Crystal. Played by Michaela Watkins. I thought she was doing a bit over the top, so I didn't like her character though. But that's one of the few nitpicks I have with the movie though. But and then so she gets this advisor to watch her, and it's played by Mason Gooding, named Jay. And he's like, oh no, he's like, you know, the typical thing. It's like, also, when it's established like a slash film, but it does play like as a romantic comedy at the same time. You know, how they bump heads, you know, like how stuff that you see that in, like in anime, you know, how with couples, soon-to-be couples, they bump into each other or they bump heads, you know. You see that a lot in romance, especially in anime stuff, right? They bump heads or they just bump into each other. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Like that, right? So, and then he's like, "Oh, well, hey, I'm just here to advise you. I'm not taking your job, etc." Right? And so, then and this is why I like the established character development in this movie, because yeah, in slash films you don't get much character development in slash films, right? Because you're not supposed to care about the characters, you're supposed to when the slasher happens, you get my drift, right? But here, in this case, I liked these characters, so I do like the development of these characters. That's why when they're getting chased by the killer, I care about these characters. And so, like, for instance, like when they go eat this restaurant and Mason Gooding is going to bring about this, asking a question about what he thoughts on the whole romance and stuff. She gets a little bit offensive to it, and she kind of gets hostile towards him. But then later, she apologizes to the guy. And then when she sees one of her exes nearby, she kind of does like a forceful kiss on Mason Gooding because the guy is nearby, so he wants to establish, because he wants her to see it because so he's seeing that she's with another guy, so she's over him. But because of that, the Hard Eyes killer kind of sees that and goes after them. And so. And then I like how she, and then how would you go back to her place? She locked herself out. So Mason Gooding does this thing where she, wraps his hand up with clothing, kind of punches the window. So, see? Clean, right? And Rachel says, she cuts her fingers, like, oh, damn, basically. Oops, that's not good. And kind of dresses his cut. So that's kind of a little bit of a funny scene there, and so. And that's when the killer chases them, the Hard Eyes killer. They try to get to a cab, kills the driver, and then Jay gets knocked out. And then Allie goes and runs, and then the two detectives meets with the two detectives, Devon, Sawa, and Jordana Brewster. But they arrest Jay because they think he's the killer because the mask and the weapon was right next to him. So they assume that he's the killer. Oh, and by the way, probably intentional, because both Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa's characters, they're both named Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw as the nod to Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham's character, to the Fast and Furious franchise, because Jordana Brewster was part of the Fast and Furious franchise. So I think that was kind of like on the nose nod because of Jordana Brewster's, because Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious franchise, she was in that series as well. I don't know if that was intentional, though, but I'm sure it was quite a bit of a wink on the nose type of joke, right? If anybody picks up on that, but I did, though. So, I was like, oh, okay, I get Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious, she was in that too, so, okay. So, then... So they establish there's a connection because they're the couple that killed at the beginning, and then some other killers, and so. And then when they get attacked again, kills another because there was this girl I think was the character Fran. You get this nice decent kill where the gets crushed. Like this, one of those squishing things, right? The girl is crushed, blood, practical. And I think there was an eyeball that when it popped out, I think that was a CGI effect though, but I give leeway to that because a lot of it was done practical, the body crushing and the practical blood coming out of it. So I can overlook that tiny detail, but it didn't hurt the scene because I liked it, so. It was nice done, because a lot of the kills are done for practical, so which I do appreciate, though. And then as one thing leads to another, that when they get where they go into a drive-in theater, a drive-in movie theater, I do like that, and they both hide. Mason Gooding does a little bit of a maneuvers when he was in handcuffs, or when the killer does attack in the police station. Now, it doesn't have the same impact like the first Terminator, right? A massacre at a police station, right? Like Terminator or Maniac Cop 2, or recently, a few years ago, Malignant, which I love Malignant. That was completely insane. I still say that was completely insane with with Gabriel, right? And just maneuvering, doing flips and all that stuff, and just killing police officers left and right with the part of that trophy as a weapon, stabbing and just breaking arms and just a whole bunch, you know. It's just like that was insane, and it still is to me. Or killing those women in the prison cell, you know. So yeah, it doesn't have the same impact as those though, but it was still nice to see that what was happening in the police station. But anyway, get back into the drive-in where they're both hiding out, right, and you know get a bit more of a chemistry between each other. And then one leads to another. They find the killer and they kill the person, which they thought it was an unknown person, but it turns out. Now this is where it gets more in the screamish, right? There's more than one killer, right? You know, like in the Scream movies, right? There's more than one killer. So it turns out, spoilers though. There are two more killers. One was the tech guy named David, and the other one is Jordana Brewster. And Jordana Brewster and the David character, they're kind of a bit of a couple as well. And the third guy that was killed first was a fan. But the reason why they're doing this because it's kinky for them. They enjoy it for the fun of it. It's kinky for them. So that's why they're doing it. So, and I do like the fact that it does kind of become like a couple versus couple. You know, Mason Gooding takes on the guy, and then Olivia Holt takes on Jordana Brewster. So I do like it was couple versus couple. Or before that, a little bit of funny humor. I do like the fact when Allie ran off and Jay thought she ditched him, and he does give her shit for that. It's like, oh, I thought you ditched me, and you left me. So I do like there's a bit of funny humorous moments between the two of them, or like or another one where she's shooting a gun and she can't shoot, right? And then Mason Gooding's kind of giving her shit for that. Or another funny humor is like, well, these muscles I have, they're not for killing. They're made for loving, or was it cuddling? He said. Either way, that was kind of bit of funny humor. So it does have, like I said, it does play like as a romantic comedy along with a slasher movie. So you do get that bits of funny humor between these two characters, which is I like, you know. Like I said, you establish character development between these two characters, which makes me do care about them, and they do have a bit of funny humor between the two of them. But a lot of people go and say, "Oh, this is supposed to be another dumb slasher film. You're not supposed to have character development. They're just there victims to be chased and killed, right? Like in a slasher movie." Not all the time. Not all the time that formula works. You know, you can have development characters, you know, and characters that you like, you know, which I do like these two, you know, and they did a good job, you know. So anyway, about getting back when they're fighting each other, the guy David gets like wax. He gets stabbed in the eye, and it gets like wax kind of melting his face, and then Mason Gooding gets like an arrow and shoots him again. And then with Olivia Holt fighting Jordana Brewster, she has that like this metal straw and stabs her, and then it also leads her to this other arrow of the statue, and then, which I didn't expect, she gets decapitated by it. Which is like, oh shit, you know, I didn't see that. I didn't see that one coming. Okay, cool. And done for practical, it was done for real, which I do like I said. Oh, I forgot to mention, because with Devon Sawa's character, he gets a machete through his groin area, and when it gets pulled out, you can see the indentation on it, which I did like. I'm like, the guy was a douchebag detective, but he just didn't deserve that kind of a blow, if you get what I mean. So, but he gets like a machete, like dab, like ooh. But they're not overly graphic kills. I mean, you get the woman who got squished. That kind of is a bit of a probably one of the bloodiest scenes, or when Jordana Brewster gets decapitated afterwards. So, but they're not overly inventive, creative kills. But they were good. But they're done practical enough. And bloody enough. I do appreciate that though. So it did kind of make me overlook on that part, though. Despite they're not cleverly or inventive, though, but... Because we've seen some of those type of kills before. But I didn't see the one with when Jordana Brewster gets stabbed in the neck and then decapitated afterwards. Like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. And so then, afterwards, it's all over, and these two get together, right? And so they do they get together, and then it's like a year later, and so they think they only want to move in together, right? and then they get a call, was this would be like almost like a sinister call, but it turns out it's Olivia Holt's boss pulling a prank on them. Then the phone cuts off. They cut him off. So, and it did not leave. And it did not leave for a sequel beta ending, which I do appreciate. So, because considering the film didn't do that well, it didn't probably would have got a sequel anyway. But I like the fact they did not leave a sequel beta ending. So overall, I did enjoy this film. It was a surprise. I was skeptical at first because, like, oh, it's be like another dumb stuff. But I was surprised by because the character build between these two characters of Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding. That's what made the film work. The chemistry between these two worked for me, and it made me care about the characters. And you get some nice kills, some bloody good kills. Not cleverly though, but they were good and done for practical, which I do appreciate. And it's a short movie, not too long ago a movie. It was about 97 minutes minus end credits. At least it was not 2 hours long, unlike Sinners and Weapons work, as Weapons did not need to be 2 hours long. This was a much shorter film. It went much at a faster pace, which I do appreciate. Because not every film nowadays has to be over 2 hours long. But this was a much short film I did appreciate, and it went by at a much faster pace. So I like the characters, the good practical kills, the pacing, and although I do, like I said, the killer does light the eyes up though a bit for like one bit, like for night vision though. But I wish I could have seen that bit more, because they have advertisements here in the poster. So, but and for song choice, it did bring a smile to my face when I heard at the beginning when I heard about "Amazed" by Lone Star. So that did bring a smile to my face. I thought Josh Ruben did a decent job with this movie, along with help from writing and producing by Christopher Landon, and along with the other people who helped him. The music, who did the music for this? By Jade Whaley, was all right, but I think the soundtrack was much better. Especially hearing "Amazed" helped me. Did bring a smile to my face, but the score for the film was decent enough, I guess. It's not memorable or great though, but it was decent enough. And Devon Sawa, it was nice to see Devon Sawa and Jordana Brewster. The supporting cast, what I thought were all like the girl Michaela Watkins, who played Olivia Holt's boss. I didn't like her. I think she was being a bit too over the top. But the made the film work was Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding's acting and the chemistry between the two characters. That would help the film for me. So, like I said, Mason Gooding though, it was nice that. Oh, that's right. Mason Gooding was in the Scream sequels as well, like the Scream 5 and Scream 6. I just remembered now because he was among one of the siblings. The two siblings in the Scream 5 and 6. That's right. I liked him better in this movie. I definitely liked it a lot better than the Scream 5 and 6. But it's like, yeah, definitely. Out of all, like, unlike was like he does. I mean, face wise, I don't see that in him and his father, Cuba Gooding Jr. Well, maybe I could see a little bit though, but not fully though. Not like with Jack Quaid or Louise Pullman. I could definitely see the resemblance between their fathers, right? But Mason Gooding though, maybe a tad bit though, but not really enough though. Because I always say, because when I look at them, it's like, oh, I see, he definitely looks like their father, definitely. But even Bryce Dallas Howard, right? I could definitely see her resemblance to her dad, director Ron Howard. One of the things, because she's a redhead, like he was a redhead, So that's one of the things. But I could definitely see her resemblance to her dad, Ron Howard. So, but Mason Gooding though, I mean, he did a good job regardless. So, and so did Olivia Holt, and I enjoyed this film. It was a surprise for me. I did think that I thought it was gonna be the best horror film I've seen this year, but then the final one for Halloween, I thought that's the best horror film I've seen. So, unless any other horror film that comes out afterwards surprised me, but other than that though, the next one after this I think is the best horror film of this year, because horror films have been absolute shit, because I still know what you did last summer. the 2025 reboot of Wolfman was disappointing, underwhelming. I was not a fan of that one. Which is sad. That was from the director who did the Invisible Man 2020 remake, but that was disappointing. It was a boring movie anyway. I did not like Weapons. I did not like Sinners. Like I said before, other horror films, like some other horror films I probably have seen, but they've been shit, you know. So, but this film I was surprised by, and then the next one afterwards. So yeah, but Hard Eyes I give it a thumbs up for, especially for a slash film nowadays. Especially, probably more original because, like I said, because we got. I still know what you did last summer sequel. More Scream movies. I guarantee you this is definitely. I would say this is better than the upcoming Scream 7. Definitely better than the Halloween movies or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever other rebooted slasher film that they're gonna do. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, or whatever, you know. Definitely better than anything I've seen of those slasher films. So, but yeah, I would definitely say it was a surprise buy. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. And for the final review of Halloween month, which is another, I'm ending on a good positive, you know, for good for you guys, because I got this film and then the next one, which is the last one. So see you on the final review for October month. Later.